Hi, I'm Terrance Bankston. Today, we take a look inside the Clean Ports Report Card project in New Jersey. New Jersey was just one of four states who participated in this inaugural round of report cards assessing port operations and engagements. On behalf of Friends of the Earth, we want to give a shout out to our national partners, Environmental Health Council, Pacific Environment, Union of Concerned Scientists, Earth Justice, Sierra Club, and the National Report Card leading organization, Better World Group. Parents Engaging Parents covers everything from community wellness to environmental justice advocacy. Parents Engaging Parents Incorporated, PEPNJ, was born out of a deeply rooted commitment to improving health and well-being of families across New Jersey. At their core, their pillars are centered on economics, education, health and social justice, environmental justice, pillars that guide PEP as they engage communities, advocate for policy change, and build partnerships that amplify our collective voice. Through their engagement with Pacific Environment, they connected local organizing to global strategies for port decarbonization, like advocating for shore power, bringing to light the damage caused by ocean-going vessels idling at berths, and halting expansion of maritime fossil fuel infrastructure. These solutions reduce emissions directly at the source, improving air quality in communities most impacted by port operations. PEP doesn't claim to be technical experts. Their strength lies in community commitment to learn, research, and advocate alongside those who are. They bring the lived experience and the voices of families who bear the health burdens of pollution. This is why they engage directly with leaders at the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, to hold them accountable to their promises for a cleaner, healthier future. PEP has proven that their advocacy is rooted in hope and collective responsibility. They believe that investing time in education, building meaningful partnerships, and centering community voices are key to driving sustainable change. They believe that together with their partners and community members, they will remain steadfast in their mission to create a healthier, more equitable environment for every child and family across New Jersey. Now, let's check out a presentation from the 11th Annual Environmental Justice and Health Disparities Symposium held recently in Baltimore, Maryland. Before we get into a summary of the Clean Ports Report Card project in New Jersey, I wanted to give a little bit of history on the Port of New York and New Jersey. Port of New York and New Jersey is the largest port on the east coast of the United States and the third busiest port nationally by tonnage. The port was created in 1921 by an interstate compact between New York and New Jersey. The port, governed jointly by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, is a bi-state agency with a unique structure of governance. As an international trade and commerce gateway, the port spans over 3,000 acres of marine terminals and facilities, linked by rail and road for intermodal transportation. While serving critical functions for the regional and national economy, the port also creates important environmental and public health challenges to surrounding communities. The port is located next to the densely populated and historically overburdened neighborhoods and communities, specifically in Newark, like the South Ward of Newark, Elizabeth, New Jersey, Bayonne, and portions of Staten Island. The Port of New York and New Jersey is home to large numbers of Black, Latinx, and immigration populations who have continued to experience disappropriate pollution from heavy truck traffic, idling ships, and industrial operations. High rates of asthma, cardiovascular disease, and pollution-related health disparities have been documented in these communities, demonstrating the need for significant environmental reform. With that being a matter of fact, the report card includes 4 categories of metric scoring. Each category includes a relevant metrics and points assigned for each metric. Category 1, emissions inventory, with a 9-point max. An emissions inventory is a quantification of selected pollutants that are emitted within a designated area by mobile sources over a given period of time. Emissions inventories help port operators identify and quantify the air emissions across the port operations. And this data is critical to communities advocating for themselves and holding ports accountable. Category 2, clean air planning, with an 8-point max. It's important to know that ports should develop a clean air plan, and that a clean air plan is critical for ports to demonstrate their commitment to reducing emissions. Through clean air planning, ports can set targets and milestones for emission reduction and decarbonization of key infrastructure. Category 3, emissions reduction actions. with an 18-point max. It is a reality that ports can progress towards their emission reduction goals by creating emission reduction programs and accelerating the adoption of low or zero emission technology. The report card template includes the metrics to evaluate port emission reduction actions for drayage trucks, ocean-going vessels, rail, hovercraft, and cargo handling equipment. And then there's category 4, community engagement and collaboration, which has a total of 12-point max. Ports should have strong community engagement policies, programs, and partnerships to help port decision makers understand and address the needs of portside EJ communities. As Kim Gaddy would say, anything that is planned without us is most certainly not for us. Then we have a grading scale for all categories combined, as well as a grading scale for each category. Now, since this presentation, the local report card leads decided to update 2 classifications for the overall categories combined. And so those changes were Dirtiest Dock is now preparing to launch. Whack Wharf is now Wharf in progress. And then we have Healthy Harbor, Rising Star, and Clean Port Champion. Now, our goal is to help each port attain Clean Port Champion status or Clean Port Champion ranking. Then in the individual categories, we have Gold Standard, Approaching Excellence, Making Progress, Just Starting, and Long Way to Go. And here, we want to help each port get to Gold Standard. These scores were determined or based on research, engagements with the port, and information made available from the port, and whether or not it met between 50% or 90% of applicable port criteria. And so I know you may be saying, well, Terrance, what were the scores for the individual categories, and how did the Port of New York and New Jersey rank overall? Well, you'll have to wait till the national launch on Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. For more information about the launch or to register, visit www.pepnj.org. For questions or feedback about the Clean Ports Report Card project in New Jersey, you can reach out to the community-based organization Parents Engaging Parents New Jersey. Erica Berrick is the lead community organizer. Or you can reach out to Tyler Johnson at Friends of the Earth, who is our ports and community engagement junior campaigner. Emissions monitoring and environmental regulations are insufficient. Port communities such as Elizabeth, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, and Brooklyn, New York, suffer from disappropriate levels of soot pollution, leading to higher asthma rates and other health impacts. For Latinx residents, the exposure to soot pollution is 75% higher compared to white Americans. And for Black Americans, the risk of dying from soot pollution is the highest, with a rate of over triple that of white Americans. In New Jersey, over 600,000 adults and 167,000 children are estimated to have asthma currently. The South Ward of Newark, where I'm from, is the backyard of the Newark Port, the 3rd largest port in the United States, with more than 3,000 garbage trucks, buses, and other vehicles driving through daily. In the New York metro region, air pollution is estimated to contribute to more than 21,000 children's asthma cases each year. Emission monitoring and environmental regulations have proven to be extremely lacking, particularly for the Gulf Coast and the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast and Northwest regions of the United States. This has allowed the serious harm done to port communities to go undetected. It's also important to note that the port leases terminal operations to private shipping companies and terminal operators such as APM terminals, Maya terminals, and global container terminals. The integration of private firms and port grounds can create questions around regulation and accountability, since substantial operating powers and decisions rest in the hands of the tenants rather than the port. I want to also note that at the port, there remains substantial unresolved community complaints related to transparency, enforcement, and inclusion in decision-making processes. Because of this, the goal is to have this report card ultimately do 3 things. 1, improve the port's engagement with community organizations to develop and adopt their plans. We see that advocacy groups can utilize the report card to engage their community in working with the port, holding the port accountable for its own sustainability goals, and encourage the port to set new, more ambitious sustainability targets. 2, serve as a tool for advocating for more funding from the private and public sectors for avoiding, mitigating, and remediating port pollution. And lastly, 3, this report card will encourage the EPA to produce report cards on ports across the nation and to update their port map that employs outdated and overly broad measures and to promote more local community input with the federal grant-making process. For more information about the Center for Engagement, Environmental Justice, and Health, visit www.ceejh.center. And to learn more about the Clean Ports Report Card Project in New Jersey, visit Parents Engaging Parents New Jersey at www.pepnj.org. Until next time, I'm Terrance L. Bankston. Thanks for joining. Please remember to like, share, and comment. And remember, real leaders take action where others hesitate. Hi, I'm Terrance L. Bankston. I'm the Senior Ports and Freights Campaigner for Friends of the Earth. I wanted to take a moment and welcome you to our official YouTube channel for our podcast series, Inside Environmental Justice with Friends of the Earth. I'll be your host, and we will be launching this summer, 2025. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe early. The link is below. Looking forward to your engagement.